everyone. Welcome. My name is Mia Park, and this is my interview series called In Response, Interviews with Intriguing Internalizers. So you're watching this either on my Facebook page or my YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in. Um, it is May 31st, 2020, and there are so many intense things happening in the world right now. We have a global pandemic. I am coming at you from America. There's a lot of civil unrest happening right now in our streets. So the world is a really heightened place now, and it's a great opportunity to connect with friends and family from around the world. And I'm so excited to have Helen Ashcroft here. So Helen
Yeah.
is now, hi, Helen is now in the Isle of Man. And Helen and I met in 2003. Is that right, girl? 2003?
Yeah, I think it was 2003. Yeah.
Yeah, 2003. We were in Rotorua in the North Island of New Zealand, which is kind of this like sulfuric, interesting place to visit. Highly recommended. And I just remember Helen and I I think we met in line doing something, and she's very chatty, I'm very chatty. It smelled so bad there. It was hard not to react to the smell of things.
Yeah.
It just, it just Yeah, being there. And so we managed to keep in touch over the years. And Helen visited Chicago a couple of years ago. We hung out at the aquarium.
Yeah,
By
jazz night at the aquarium.
Yeah, jazz night at the aquarium. And it's just nice to be in touch. So welcome, Helen. Thank you for being a part of this.
Thanks for inviting me, Mia. Lovely to see you.
Yeah, you too. So is there anything else that you would like to share with people about yourself?
No, I think that's it. I'm happy with that. Thank you.
Okay. There's a lot more to have. It's nice to see the bios of friends that people meet, because she's got so many interesting things I didn't know about, like volunteer beekeeping as one. So we can discover more about Helen as the interview goes on. But I'd like to ask what's going on in the outside world, either immediately where you are or just your observation of what's going on outside, and then your response to what's happening in the world now inside of you.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll start with the outside world. I'll tell you a bit about where I'm from. I live in a beautiful place in the middle of the Irish Sea called the Isle of Man. I like to think of it as quite a well-kept secret. It's not part of the UK, and it's self-governing, quite an independent, like fiercely independent country, tiny nation. Our population is 84,000, and during the pandemic, I think, well, personally for me and a lot of people that I know, we've grown a real trust in our leadership. And so our Chief Minister, and especially our Minister of Health and Care, Social Care, they've really stepped up to the plate and made some really difficult decisions. And whereas in the past, you might sort of whinge lightly about them, get involved in banter, which is probably quite critical of them, I felt that they've stepped up to the plate and really shown the nation that they genuinely care about them. And they've looked at what's happening around the world and created a model for the Isle of Man that's based on our people, our numbers, our health services and our statistics, and come up with a model that's kept us really safe. And they've kept in touch with us. The communication has been excellent, and it's really instilled a sense of safety and comfort in our population. And they have, as a result, become much more popularized, our leaders. And so I think there's trust there as well. So that's good. We have had the virus over here, and we've had 24 deaths, which if a population of 84,000 and a very close community, that's hit hard. That, you know, there's always people, you know. I think we know a lot of people. We hang around with each other. We know friends that know people. And one of the worst outbreaks was in a care home, which has happened all over the world, but it hit a care home really, really hard. And the impact of that has been devastating in our community. It's very, very sad. But we're at a good news phase at the moment, because we don't have anybody in hospital with the virus, and we only have 3 active cases because of the measures that our leaders have taken to close our borders early, impose social distancing. We're a community. We believe in supporting each other and watching out for each other. So that's been really effective. And we've had a strong policy of testing. We've completed nearly 5,000 tests to date, and we've had 336 cases. But as of yesterday, we have had 10 days clear of no new cases. So that was a really good reason to celebrate. And everybody's really happy and buoyed along, and especially because we've got great weather as well this weekend. So it's been, quite uplifting, really.
I am so glad to hear that. I'm very happy that where you are has faith in a strong, healthy leadership. I so wish we could say the same thing in America, but that's a different conversation.
The thing is, because such a small, close-knit community,
Yes.
there's nowhere to hide. These people, you're going to see them in the supermarket, and you're going to see them out and about walking their dogs and things like this. So people, our politicians and leaders are part of our community as well, and they've really been brilliant. I'm very proud.
Good for you. That's, again, that sounds like an ideal situation, and I'm so happy that the sicknesses and deaths were low there. I do want to say that my dear friend Alicia Senior Saywell says, "All hail to the Isle of Man. My uncle rides in their many motorbike races." Okay, I didn't know there were motorbike races at Isle of Man. Now I know.
Oh, you haven't heard of the famous PT? That's very good timing. It's at the moment we should be starting practice week. The Isle of Man is most famous for what's called the TT races, which is a road racing circuit of about 37 miles. And it's a 2-week festival of motor sports, motorbike racing. And it's amazing. It's known as the most dangerous course in the world. These riders are absolute heroes and legends. And we attract a lot of people over to the island for this fortnight festival every year. And we should be starting practice week over this weekend, but we're not. So we're just taking it back and closing our eyes and pretend we can hear the roar of the engines and the smell of the petrol.
That goes along great with the countryside. Are you going to allow do you know if the country's going to allow the races to happen later this year? That means a whole bunch of people not from there coming in, right?
Yeah, no, it's all cancelled. We do have another motorbike, the Festival of Motorcycling in August, September time. And so hopefully that will still go ahead, but it's a much smaller, lower key event.
Okay, as we're doing, as the world is doing now. Yeah. So I wanted to, if you don't mind, can you share with people what you're doing? Because you're working with the health project right now at Isle of Man, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm speaking in this interview very much on a personal basis, but I do work for the government. I was seconded from the heritage sector to work on a project within the Cabinet Office of Government on health and care transformation. And so I've been working on that. Started on the 3rd of February and got sent home on about the 22nd of March, I think it was. And so we were just newly formed and getting to know each other. It was like a tide of people into this office with this new project, and then it sort of receded. The tide went out and has been out ever since. So we've all taken to working from home. But and we've had to rethink the project, but we really we're still sticking to deadlines. The project's still going ahead, and we're working really hard to make sure that we don't lose too much traction during this, what was a difficult task, transforming the whole of healthcare. And we have a national health system. And that was a difficult task in its own right, whilst the services were still operating, of course. But with a national health emergency as well, this obviously adds complications. But we've got a good team, and we're really passionate, and we're all in it to make improvements and make the world a better place for people that are the most vulnerable in our society.
Oh, that's great. So I know of you, Helen, that you are obviously very friendly and a people person, and it sounds like you have a very nurturing side to you, because you have pets, horse, cat, dog, and you lived with horses in South America, and you're a volunteer. You're taking care of bees, and you're taking care of people. So, and I know that along that way that nature is very important to you in that kind of connection. So would you like to share maybe if you have like a a philosophical or kind of a spiritual response to what's happening in the outside world with that in mind?
Yeah, I find a lot of sanctuary in nature, and I feel very humbled by nature. And I guess especially my horse. My horse is this magnificent animal that is so strong and volatile and dangerous, but beautiful and kind and noble is a good word for her. And I find being with her is very present. And it's hard to think about other things when you've got this animal that has trust in you, but also can fight with you, and you've just got to always be with that animal, and it takes any other thoughts of anything that's been going on just disappear, and I always leave there feeling very energized. But of course you're getting back out into nature as well, and it just really soothes my soul and makes me happy, when I finish being in nature or being with my horse, I feel like a new person when I come out the other side. And looking at the hills, the mountains, the sea, that kind of thing, it really makes you realize how insignificant your problems are, and how spring and summer is marching on regardless of what's going on in our human world, and it's still happening, it's still beautiful. And actually in the pandemic, everything just went really for a while, and everybody was stuck at home. Maybe people were worried and things like that, but it gave us the opportunity to turn off the radio and listen to nature. It was a lot closer to home. You could hear the birds singing, you could feel a lot more connected with nature without even leaving your house. And we were blessed with the most amazing weather, because we live on a rock in the Irish Sea, and believe you me, it can get windy, and we can have storm after storm after storm in sort of March and April showers, of course, and everything. And that queuing up outside of supermarkets and things like that would have been awful if we'd have had bad weather. But we had beautiful weather, which is not only very cleansing, it makes you feel better, it makes you healthier, and it makes it a lot easier to readjust to the new normal, certainly whilst in a queue outside the supermarkets.
Oh, that's so now I have to go visit you there. It sounds like such a lovely place to be, even especially during this very strange new normal that you're talking about.
Yeah,
I
you
I
have.
really appreciate.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to. So when traveling like that's open again, yeah. So thank you. I really appreciate how you're saying that connecting to nature, especially for you, just puts our human experience in such a perspective.
Yeah.
And that, yeah.
And because I've got a horse, I have to look after my animals. So I've had that opportunity. I've had to go up and see her every day. And that's over and above your hours exercise that we're also allowed. Although, of course, you can include that hours exercise in that visit. So it's kept up that routine and made sure that even when I felt dreadful, like the first few weeks, I was in a bit of a cleaning frenzy. I drank too much wine and was really struggled to keep up with the changes that were going on, and like anxiety started to brew and things like that. And so having that touch point with nature and going to see a horse and taking it out on the mountains was really, really helpful during that time.
So I don't actually have a lot of experience with horses, but I understand them to be very intelligent, very sensitive. Like you said, you need to be connected with your horse the entire time. Did you notice like a change in your horse's behavior? Like as other people around everyone, human anxiety went up. What about your animal?
I had a week or so where I couldn't ride her. So like sort of weeks 4 to 6, it was all catching up on me, and I got quite anxious, and I was really wary to ride her during that time. I did a lot of work on the ground, building confidence, or I'd have like 15, 20 minutes on the ground before I got on her, because there was a change of routine for her, and she's not good with changes. She's like, this is not my routine, what are you doing? She really is like that. But horses connect with you on a different level. So I'm really close with my dog, but my horse knows what I'm thinking almost. You can sense a change in body language while I'm thinking something and react before I've given her the aid, the instruction to do things. That's how sensitive horses are. And she just sensed that I was stressed. So she could feel that. And she was like, if you're stressed, I'm not sure about this. And so she was reacting quite adversely to that. She lost her trust, really. But then also it's spring, so they get a bit like spring's in the air. We feel really good, and they've also got all the summer grasses coming through, and so that makes them really reactive as well. And so I had to be really careful for a few weeks to just, especially while I was quite anxious, I just had to take it really slowly, build up trust on the ground, and then get on her in a nice way. And yeah, because she was quite reactive to that.
Wow, that is an amazing connection you have with your horse. That's some people aren't even that connected with their partners. I'm so glad that you have such a knowledge of and you know that your horse knows you as well. That's actually like a beautiful example of that kind of symbiotic relationship that's potential that you could have with nature or with,
Yeah. The horses are very, very sensitive creatures that really pick up and connect with you in a really deep way, and that really is everything to me. My horse is we have a building called the Tower of Refuge here on the Isle of Man that's quite famous, and it's a sea sort of rescue tower, and but I call my horse my towering refuge.
That's especially during this pandemic time. That is so inspirational. I hope that everyone has their horse tower of refuge for them individually as well. I live in a very small condominium in Chicago. I don't think I could have a horse if I wanted to, but I'll try to find my own horse of refuge.
Just come over and see mine. You'll love her.
Okay. So it sounds like, at least from your experience, like from your kind of microcosmic experience at Isle of Man, it sounds like you are hopeful. Are you hopeful for kind of the world at large right now?
Do you know what? Another one of my reactions to this is to be quite like, normally I'm someone I would describe as having quite broad horizons, but I've really sort of gone inward, I would say, and I'm looking at my own horizon and my own community and concentrating on that rather than further afield. But when I do dip my toe into, just as a sort of coping mechanism, really, and just understanding what's going on in my community and my home and my area. But I am worried about the rest of the world. There's a lot of trouble. There's a lot of conflict, and it's quite scary times. I don't like the lack of leadership that I see in much more important, bigger places. It's really upsetting, and I don't understand how humanity can get into those positions. It's really saddening. And I guess that's why it's so comforting to concentrate just on what's in your. It's easier to manage what's going on in your community, in your small island of sort of safety.
Yeah, thank you for being so empathetic with the larger scale of things here, across the Atlantic in this big country, America, where I am. I think that what you said is the best that we can do, though. Like, the only way to really affect change is to take care of everything, I think, on these microcosmic levels. Like, take care of your home in here, and then you've got your home with your animals and your immediate setting, and then you're taking care of others with your health work, working with the government, and then, it kind of expands out. You've got that part of the world you're in and the continent and all that. I guess in a way, it's kind of like that's the best that we can do individually, is to make sure that we're okay so that we can kind of support other people. But I'm just glad that you're personally in a position where it sounds like you're able to manage yourself and your surroundings and help others. So thank you for the work you're doing for you and where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's all, that's what we can do. Well, and I'm sorry it's a little noisy. People get so excited in the summertime here. My neighbor downstairs has a leaf blower, and I think he decided to blow leaves. So it's loud on my end. I don't know how it is over here, so over this. So sorry about that. But anyway, we are almost at about time, my dear. So is
No.
there anything else that you would like to share? I think you're so fun and interesting to talk to.
I thought I would say more and talk about more things, but
Yeah.
that's the way it goes. 20 minutes is just a moment, isn't it, really? But yeah, I had one thing that I would like to add, and it's like a blessing that's a traditional blessing from the Isle of Man. We have our own language called the Manx language, and it goes a little bit like this. So, sorry, I'm going to start from the top. Slanta she as Aishtavai as manres son de brer. And that means to health and peace and length of life and happiness forever.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me cry. Will you say that again a little bit slower, please? I'd love to hear it again.
Slenta she as Aishtavai as manres son de brer.
Oh,
And that in English, it means to health and peace and length of life and happiness forever.
oh my gosh, that is Isle of Man. Okay, so like I need to go now. That just makes me want to go there even more. That is such a lovely sentiment. And the language is Manx, Manx.
That's it, yeah. As are the people from the Isle of Man or anything related to the Isle of Man is Manx.
That is fantastic. So, okay, I have to segue. I used to have Manx cats. They didn't have tails. Is that related to Isle of Man?
Uh-huh. Yeah. So there's a lot of yeah. Like they do breed them in parts of the world, but yeah, that's tailless cat is from the Isle of Man.
Okay, so somewhere in my young person mind, I must have known that, but I collect a lot of tattoos. I had Manx cats from when I was like 19 till about 21, and like
Wow.
family pets. And I even have a Manx cat tattoo. The first tattoo I ever got in 1989 is of a
Wow.
Manx cat. So
Amazing.
they does that mean I can go there and be like, look, I have the tattoo. Can I come in?
Oh. Tell me, did your cat run like a terrier when its back legs run at the same time?
I'm sorry, there's a delay. Can you ask that again?
Did your Manx cat run like a terrier or a rabbit where the back legs go at the same time when they run?
Yes. It looked a little bit like a rabbit because the hind legs were almost higher. Like it
Yeah, yeah,
almost looked
yeah.
like a teeny tiny bobcat, but didn't have a tail.
Yeah, yeah. So the back legs are longer and they've got one less skeletal joint. And that means that they run like terriers or rabbits.
That is awesome. Okay. Isle of Man, now moving up to top 5 must visit places. It's on my bucket list.
Anytime. Well, when
Anytime.
our borders are
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Helen. It was so lovely talking to you. It was so nice to hear about your connection to nature. And again, I'm so glad that you and yours are doing well over there. Hi. Hi, Pooch. Is that one yours?
Tori, yeah. She sat very patiently.
Hi, sweetie. Oh my gosh. Lots of love, Helen. Thank you. And your friend Julie Hayden Baker says, beautiful Helen Ashcroft. And Julie, you're right. Helen is beautiful.
Oh, I love you, Julie. Miss you.
So thanks so much for watching, everyone. This has been In Response, Interviews with Intriguing Internalizers. Lovely Helen Ashcroft from Isle of Man. So wonderful to talk to you. And you can read more about Helen if you're on Facebook. It's up there. If you're on YouTube, her information's down there. Take care, everyone. And until next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.